All these figures look amazing. In this video, we will be looking at the Dark of the Moon knockoff Shockwave, followed by Soundwave and Starscream from the Bumblebee movie. The Shockwave is essentially a bootleg figure, and I wanted to compare the quality, price, and size to the Hasbro figures. We'll look at their robot modes, their vehicle modes, and Soundwave has the absolute worst vehicle mode ever. We're gonna start with Shockwave. Listen, I know I could have waited for the Voyager Bumblebee release, but I'm wanting to experiment with multiple reviews in videos to make longer videos because YouTube loves long videos. I also got this figure from TF Safari, so make sure to check them out and use my affiliate code for 3% off. This Shockwave figure is by Byway, and he looks amazing in his robot mode. The vehicle mode, we'll get to that. It's a knockoff of the Studio Series Leader Class 56 Shockwave. It's slightly larger and has a lot more purple on it compared to the Studio Series release, making him more reminiscent of the G1 show. Unfortunately, this version doesn't have a uniboob like his G1 counterpart, so 0 out of 10.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Moving on to the next figure. Okay, not really. In all seriousness though, I love the way this figure looks. As of now, Shockwave only really had 2 movie appearances, Dark of the Moon where he didn't have the uniboob, and the Bumblebee movie with the accurate uniboob. It's very important that he has this, I hope you guys understand. His appearance in both are very different, as the Bumblebee movie went for more G1 designs, as we'll see with the other 2 figures in this review. As of now, Bumblebee movie wise, we only have the core class release with a Voyager figure coming soon. I didn't actually care too much when I bought this figure, but now that he's in front of me, oh my god, this is amazing. And I do want to take a look and see how he compares to his movie appearance later on. His entire sculpt is fantastically done, and I know it's a KO, it's not an original mold, but you know what I mean. This really does have that Bayverse Decepticon look, where all the Decepticons look jaggedy, and we'll see the differences when we look at the Bumblebee movie designs. All the detail on him looks fantastic, along with all the weathering done. Shockwave is a character that is cold and logical, but this version seems like he would rip your face off.
Come here and let daddy bite you.
Seriously, this figure is so menacing looking. Just in all aspects of the design, he's also pretty big, and I love that. This figure only cost $24.99, while the original retailed at $56, and is now going for some insane prices on eBay. No way the original is worth that much. Seriously, I am sick of people overpricing items. Anyways, back to the figure. I need to stay on track. One thing that does bother me though, that's right, there's something I don't like about this figure. That is the plastic quality. Something about it feels a bit on the cheaper side, but then again, this is a very cheap knockoff, and I am concerned about maybe some parts possibly breaking, but so far it seems to have held up. Let's move up to the head sculpt though, and this looks amazing. A very menacing look for Shockwave. He has those almost devil horns sticking out with the classic one eye in the middle, this one red instead of yellow. He also has some sort of teeth-like design to him on his mouth, which is kind of freaky. He's a very spooky little guy. Down to the chest area, I love the ribbed cage look this guy has, and all the tiny details between them. I like how it's a kind of messy silver and purple paint job, making him look a bit more realistic. The rest of the body looking really good with all these angular shapes. A bit of a sloppy paint job in some areas, as you can see. This doesn't seem intentional, but the rest of it looks really good and makes him look very villainous. These arms also have a lot of those jaggedy shapes throughout him, and the fingers on here look fantastic. They can move individually, and I do like how they have little bits of gold paint on them. Now his other arm though is a huge dildo. Now this arm has a huge cannon, and we do have a pipe that attaches all the way at the back. This is a separate piece that can be taken off. This cannon though is gigantic. It is one big boy. I really like how this looks. This is all part of his arm, so it's not detachable or anything, but the design on here is done incredibly well. Even on the other side, it looks pretty good. Now for his other arm, you do get this weapon that you can attach to him. It does look very nice and alien. It's supposed to be like a bladed type weapon, but the plastic quality on this does feel a bit cheap, so I'm a bit worried about breakage. Now the legs on this figure looks so good. A lot of detail packed into here, and I like how they get bigger as you go further down, allowing this figure to be able to stand pretty well. And you do get these neat spikes down here at the bottom of his feet. For some reason, this one is bent on my copy of the figure, which is kind of annoying. What is interesting though is the knees are made of die-cast metal, and I also just noticed it does seem like there's a thumbprint on here, so that is kind of funny. Over to the back of the figure, we do get these nice thruster-like things. All of these can move individually, and the rest of the back of this figure looks really cool. Also at the back, we can see his treads for the vehicle mode, which we will get into. These back parts and the feet are supposed to be sticking out more, but I don't know, I just kind of prefer to keep them in. I really think the design of the legs were done incredibly well, especially down here where we can see some really tiny gears and mechanical detail. Very impressive. But first, compared to his movie appearance, I think he looks very accurate. He's incredibly spot on, minus the colors Byway added to this knockoff, but I really do love the purple on here, and I think that gives this figure major points over the official release. Also, the official release did have some soft plastic bits to it. This this one does as well for the fingers, as well as the spiky bits down here on the feet. Hasbro did a good job with the original mold of the figure, probably because he didn't transform in the movies, so they weren't limited by that. But this figure does transform, and we will get to that later. Also, this version does not come with any of the tiny figures the Studio Series came with. So now, how is the articulation on this figure? The joints seem mostly fine, except for the legs over here, which, like my grip on Reality, it's a little bit loose. However, the figure does seem to stand fine. We do get movement on the head, a 360 head rotation, these arms out to the side, a 360 on there, bicep rotation, 90-degree elbow bend, hand movement along with rotation. These fingers are all individual, no bend to them though, no ab crunch or waist rotation. Legs can move out, and these pieces can move out as well. Forward up there, back all the way up there, knee bend, rotation, foot pivot, and back and forth. I'm a bit disappointed by the lack of waist rotation, but I can see with the design it wouldn't really work. Actually, I'm gonna be honest, while this figure does have pretty standard articulation, you can't do a whole lot of dynamic poses. I determine good articulation by how many sexy poses a figure can do. I tried with this figure and it just didn't work. Now the transformation isn't very hard. It's probably like 1/10 of a Viagra pill. We can take this off, move the arms out of the way, come to the feet, and take these parts on the back, and then bring them both around, straighten up both of the feet, untab the arm. It's a little tight, like your mom. You can untab this as well, bring this section back, pull up the head, bringing this gray section up, and then move the head back. So it kind of just fits in like so. Pull out the leg, flip it up. It needs to tap into here, so bring it up and in there. Same here. Let's readjust this real quick. Take this back section and bring it down. Bring this arm up here, and then proceed to bring it down, tabbing it into place. The connection is a bit loose, so don't worry if it doesn't go in all the way. And pretty much do the same for the cannon arm. This one is also tough to connect. Now we can take this back section and connect it to the back of the arms. Once again, the connection on this isn't the best. We can now finally take his weapon and slot it onto the top. And here is the vehicle mode for the figure. It is supposed to be some kind of Cybertronian tank, and sure, yeah, yes it is. For a leader class figure, the transformation on this was surprisingly simple, which isn't a bad thing. I was kind of shocked by that. While I'm not a big fan of the tank mode, I think they did do a decent job with what they had, but still, the vehicle mode is not the best. He never transformed in the movie, and this is essentially a Cybertronian vehicle mode, and those can sometimes look like a mess, as we will see with the Soundwave figure later on in this video. It's kind of hard to make out any shapes on the figure, and he does look a lot better in person, but on camera, he does kind of look like a jumbled mess. You can clearly see his head through the front, and you can bring these in to cover it up. His head in the vehicle mode is also pretty loose. Now the legs do blend in pretty well with the figure, but the arm at the top kind of throws it off. You can clearly see the hand, but adding the blade to the top kind of blends it together a bit better. These pipes do kind of get in the way, but you can take it off from either end, and you could plug it in somewhere else and adjust it, but personally I do not care enough to do that, because to me the robot mode is basically the best thing about this figure. I don't care enough for the vehicle mode, and I'm probably never going to transform it again. Another thing is that a lot of the tabs for this just don't really stay in very well, so a lot of the pieces might just end up resting in place rather than being slotted into place properly. Or maybe I just suck at transforming figures. I do like how that back section is kind of now this little thruster area, which is really cool. The tread details on here is pretty good, and he does have wheels at the bottom, so he can kind of roll around. But overall, to me, this is not that great of a vehicle mode. When you transform something like this, you don't really get a sense of accomplishment as you would when transforming something into a car or a truck. When I first transformed this, I thought to myself, did I even do this right? Am I stupid? The answer to that is yes, by the way. Now moving on from that to the Bumblebee movie designs, we're gonna start off with Soundwave first. I just realized all these characters start with S. Anyways, here is Soundwave, and now that I think about it, he does feel a lot lighter than that Shockwave, because I guess he is a smaller figure. Plastic quality seems to be fine. I think you still can get this for around $35. Now TF Safari does have an upgrade kit for this guy, if you'd like to get that. Unfortunately, I didn't think to buy them in time for this review, but they do have other Soundwave figures on their site as well. So leave a comment if you'd like me to review something from their site. I'm possibly thinking about getting the APC Toys Transformers Prime Soundwave. Now you are going to want to see the vehicle mode for this when I show it off later, because it's something. But the robot mode is amazing looking. I love the colors on him. He does resemble his G1 counterpart, but has an updated look, and pretty accurately resembles his movie appearance. He also has a really neat G1 feature, which I will show in a second, but first the head on this guy. He gives some great head. It is very nicely done with a good amount of detail on it. His head does kind of resemble the Decepticon insignia maybe. I like the design of the mouthpiece and the little vents on the side. The red eyepiece, it does make him look kind of sad or concerned. Is he a sad boy? He also has this translucent area at the back, which would have been meant for light piping. I'm not sure why, since the visor is painted. I guess they were going to do it initially, but then decided not to. Some nice detail in the upper area, and a lot of nice ones around the back. This looks great. He does still have some plastic bits on him. Whoopsie. You guys hopefully didn't see that. He does have his shoulder cannon, which can be detached. Now you might notice notice his chest area seems a little bit hollow on the inside. Why could that be? Well, it could be a representation of how life is meaningless and empty, and how we're all just stardust, and in the vastness of the universe, nothing really matters. What is there to truly do in life? Our actions will never affect the universe, and this hollowness inside the figure could just be a representation of that. But it's actually an eject feature. It's pretty satisfying to do, like your mom. You can put a Studio Series Core Class Ravage in there. Unfortunately, I don't have one. I do have a USB Ravage stick, but I don't think that's gonna fit in there.
Ravage eject.
Hopefully this functionality doesn't mess up over time, but you can open both of his holes in case it does mess up. But maybe this will fit in there. There we go. I do like the yellow and red around here, and I do wish that Decepticon insignia was a little bit bigger. Further down, we do have a lot of nice designs and detail packed into this area with silver paint, and what's really cool is that he has paint over here resembling cassette player buttons as a throwback to the original G1 design. That is a really nice touch. If you didn't know, a cassette player is a device invented in 1400 BC, just about as old as your mom. We can lift up this front flap to reveal his blue jewels. There's actually a lot of great stuff over here that gets covered up by the skirt piece. Now the legs do have some hollowness over here, but I do find the rest of it to be designed pretty well. I like all the panel working going on throughout it, and the tiny bits of detail that are on the legs. And his knee looks like it has a face on it. Now he does come with a blaster, which is nicely designed, but the paint job on here is kind of atrocious. It's a very glossy brown color, and it kind of makes some of the details hard to see. Now I don't have the original G1 figure, I only have a blaster, and let's face it, he isn't anywhere near as cool as Soundwave, but I do have the music label Soundwave, which is G1 inspired. This is an actual functioning MP3 player. All these buttons are pressable. I have done a video on this if you want to watch that after this video. And side by side, you can see a lot of the G1 inspiration more clearly now. So now, how is the articulation on this? Is it better than the Shockwave? So that head can move up and down. We do get a 360 rotation, this arm out to the side, a full 360 there. Bicep rotation, this feels a little bit loose. Double hinges for the elbow bend. Doesn't seem like there's any hand rotation, no ab crunch, but if we move this out of the way, we do get some waist rotation. Legs out to the side, forward up there, and to the back. We get a double hinge joint for the knees, foot pivot, and the feet can move back and forth. Along with that, you can move this around. So with the articulation on this figure, I don't think you'll have any trouble with poses. You can even do a few sexy poses. The robot mode is fantastic on this guy. Great colors, good detail. Now let's transform it to check out the vehicle mode. The first thing I like to do is flip the figure over, pull out this section, rotate that around, and rotate this piece around and close that back up. Then come to the hands where we can open that up, bring that in, close that up. Same over here, bring that in, close that up. Now the reason you want to be careful with these shoulder pieces is because when you bring them up with the tiniest bit of pressure, that happens. So we want to be really careful when doing that. So bring that up, bring this back piece up as well. Same over here. So the best way to do this is to straighten out the arms, bring it back, grab this from here and rotate it, bringing this up like so. So go ahead and do the same over here and bring that up. So that way we're not touching these top pieces. Now this arm will go into that slot. So if we rotate it and bring it in, we can get that into place. Same here, rotate that and bring it in. The next thing we want to do is flip the figure over, rotate the leg to where it's like so, pull this out, and then pull out this section. So rotate this leg, pull this out, and then that. Now we can bring out the feet on both sides, take the leg and then rotate it inwards and bring this flap down and then push this in. Same thing over here. Go ahead and bring it in, bring that flap down, push all of this in. Now the feet do tap into that slot. Bring that in, and same over here. Make sure everything is properly in place. And actually I've made a mistake. This needs to flip the other way. And because of that, I probably should refilm the transformation, but as you'll see with the vehicle mode, it's not worth it. Let's take out those knees. And here is the, What is this? What is this? What is this supposed to resemble? This is nothing. It's terrible and I hate it. It is supposed to be a Cybertronian hovercraft of sorts, and I guess, yeah, that works, but it's more like a Cybertronian pancake. Oh my god, this is nothing. This is so bad, I don't even consider this to be a transforming figure. This is just kind of like holding a brick. That is just how bad this is. And also, here's how it looks from the underneath. He's just kind of folded up in there, and this is pretty terrible. Now, for some reason, this time around, when transforming it, I cannot get the arms to tab into place properly, so I just kind of left it there. This vehicle mode is just so bad, I don't even care. If we do look inside this translucent section, we can see a little bit of detail. It's really hard to pick out on camera, but overall, man, there's nothing really really to say about this, except it's bad. I kind of wish this top area was a bit more fully flat, because you can't see the head poking through. I appreciate the good robot mode. I just kind of wish the vehicle mode was a lot better. Also, we can plug in the weapons to this side, is a little tight, and this one on this side. And you know, at least it's weapon storage. I don't even think Hasbro cared about the vehicle mode on this, because they didn't even add a port for a stand like the Starscream figure has for this vehicle mode. This is meant to be a flying vehicle. I'm never transforming this again because of how bad it is. The third figure is going to be the Studio Series 72 Starscream from the Bumblebee movie. This is a Voyager scale figure, and luckily this figure does have an actual alt mode. Wow, surprising, right? I've had this figure for a while before I even started my review channel. Well, technically, I started this channel in 2013 and I posted only like 2 videos. Right away, we will notice his color scheme is extremely vibrant. The colors are similar to his G1 counterpart, and the blues and reds just really stand out, and I love that. I don't have a G1 figure, but I do have a Studio Series Coronation Starscream.
You've activated my fight or flight response, but unfortunately for you, I am a fightless bird.
Don't you mean flightless?
Ha ha!
And here's how they look side by side. Like Soundwave, I like how this figure takes the G1 look and modernizes it into a movie look. Despite looking pretty different, he is very recognizable as Starscream, unlike this Dorito. We'll see a lot of classic G1 elements in this figure. These jet intakes at the top, the wings out in the back, and the cockpit chest area. This is a very nice design, and I hope to see more of him in the future. The head sculpt on here is okay looking. They did manage to put in a lot of detail in the face, maybe a little bit too much because at a glance it kind of looks like a jumbled mess, but with the macro mode on my phone you can see it in greater detail. The eyes are painted in a nice red color. It's a little bit hard to see the details in the black area of the head. Also, I'll be honest with you, it kind of looks like hair and gives me Princess Leia vibes. Now up to the jet intakes, I think the paintwork and detail on here is done really well, along with the G1 red stripes on the wings. The null rays are also on the wings instead of the arms. The shoulder areas look real. Oh no. Yeah, these are looser than the promises of a politician. I think the shoulder areas look really great, along with the rest of the arms, some nice blue over here, and I really like this intersection of the arm. I love all the mechanical bits on here, along with the silver paint job. This is done so well. Now he does come with a blaster that you can attach to his arm. It's pretty well done, and I like how it looks like it transforms out of the arm. The connection isn't too great though. Well, I guess you shouldn't flick it out like that. The chest area being the cockpit is a classic Starscream look, and it does kind of bother me how this part is painted yellow, and this is a translucent yellow plastic. Also, the grays don't really match, and I feel like that makes it look kind of off. However, this does not appear in the vehicle mode. The legs are looking really great. All the colors make this figure pop, and you do get a bit of nice detail throughout the legs. Now, I think this figure looks very accurate to the movie appearance. They did a great job replicating that. But now let's check out the articulation. We should be able to move the head up, as it is on a ball joint. For some reason, I'm just not able to. I think it's just too tight on my copy of the figure. But we can move it a full 360. It is a little bit tight. Arms out to the side over there. This can rotate as well. Bisexual rotation. An elbow bend. Hand can move in as part of the transformation. Nothing for the abs or the waist. Legs forward, out to the side, about back there before the rest of the figure gets in the way. Rotation, and a knee bend. Lastly, a foot pivot, and if we bring this out, we can move this up and down. Now, side by side with the more classic looking Starscream, we can see all the similarities between the two. I do like how the wings are done differently on this version of Starscream. We have them going angled up, while in the more classic Starscream appearance, they're just regular wings, which also has the Decepticon insignia on it. On this figure, they are on the back, and the back of this figure is pretty plain, not a whole lot to talk about there. So for the transformation for Starscream, you can first start off by bringing in the hands inside of his arms, unfold this, and then rotate that, and my copy is loose, so this always comes off, and we're going to want to do the same thing for the one on this side. Now we can come to the feet of the figure, and we want to unfold all this, rotate the leg this way, and then keep unfolding this to where it's like so. And for some reason, this is also loose on my figure, but we're going to want to take this out and then unfold that, and this section does tap into that leg. We're going to want to take this out, and then we can't unfold that right away. Grab it from here and then pull it out, rotate the leg, unfold that, tab that into place, and then we can unfold this. Now we can take the feet and just bring them in there, rotate that back this way. Next we can come to this upper section, and we basically just split it open. You can bring that up, and something has fallen out. This piece. This is really annoying to fix. Okay, continuing back off, we're basically folding the figure into itself. Make sure this is up and adjust the legs over here, and then tab this together. We can come to the front and take this nose cone and snap it into place. It is a little bit tough to do. Let me readjust this real quick. Now we can come down to the arms. We're basically... Nice. We could take these off if we wanted to. So for the arms, we're gonna bring this out and rotate it, bring it all the way in there, rotate this section of the arm around and fold it in. We can do the exact same process over here and bring that in there. Make sure it's lined up. Connect this piece and rotate it in like so. Take these panels up here and fold them in, connect them together. Take the wings and bring them down. We can further bring these pieces in for a more cleaner look. Take his blaster and it does connect underneath. Here is the vehicle mode on the figure and I think it is really well done. Generally with Cybertronian vehicle modes, you get stuff that kind of looks meh like we saw with the Soundwave, but this is pretty good. And this does in a way resemble a jet while also having a sort of otherworldly look to it. I also like how you have this section here at the bottom where you can kind of hold him from. This front nose cone bit is made of a softer plastic for safety reasons. And as you saw earlier, that front part of the cockpit in the robot mode is now no longer showing in the vehicle mode. It's tucked away somewhere in here now. I do like the thrusters at the back here, along with the intakes being underneath. I think the way the arms and hands are folded in back here is done pretty well. And if you did want to, you can orientate the wings to be more upright. And now he looks kind of like a bird. It is cool how he can just kind of rest like this in the vehicle mode. I think the transformation on this is done very well. We can see the Decepticon insignias on the wings now. Definitely doesn't resemble G1 Starscream's alt mode, but for a live action Cybertronian mode, this looks really good. Out of all three of these figures so far, this is probably the best vehicle mode. I do like how his blaster is underneath here. And another cool thing about the blaster is that it has a port for a stand. However, it doesn't work entirely well if the blaster isn't connected to the figure properly. And we do get a little bit of panel working throughout the figure, not really a whole lot. Most of the awesome detail we saw was in the robot mode, but once again, this is pretty good. But let me know in the comments which figure do you think looks the best? And make sure to check out TF Safari and use my code if you do. If you want to see another really interesting Transformers video, make sure to check out this one over here.